So basically, what I'm doing here is organizing my kickoff to my week. Sundays are usually Sunday nights are usually the nights where I go through my system and I start really collecting all of the tasks, putting my thoughts onto paper and to starting to really get organized. So as you can see here, I follow my planner, and I usually start what I'm grateful for, and then I get into my today's priorities. I've already started mapping out my end of day review, my KPI metrics, current projects, what will make today great, and putting in the relevant tasks behind it. And I've also started, kind of taking note as I'm thinking about what I'm trying to do, so that way I can focus on the future value of everything that I'm doing, right? So let's take, for example, how it says general daily, how to get planner stream into my work to keep track of current projects, pulses. How do I get notifications in the Slack for Monday board updates? This is literally questions I'm asking myself, but I'm asking myself these questions so that way I can project future increased value for my time. So now that I've got my today's priorities, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move into a board, hashtag my work, today's priorities, right? Because it just, as I'm going through, identifying ways to add value to my next business framework, intermediate level technology, I kept my system I originally started with, which was what you see here, daily task, innovation, finance, project management, onboarding, sales, marketing, content, website. And I scaled it into my work, sales, customer management, new project management, marketing, content, and website, because I felt like these were the different areas that need to be addressed. And it minifies or condenses down all of these folders into a much smaller, much more business intelligent framework. So I'm not wasting time going through all these different folders. I'm not, you know, constantly on different boards going here, on different boards going here, um, on different boards going here. Because what I realized is I just didn't do it. I just didn't keep up with it all because it was all so much to try and track and keep up with without using something to centralize each process. So the real difficult part that came about was sorry, I got a text message that I didn't quite understand. But I condensed down each of these different parts because it really determined my level of success of actually doing the work and being able to keep up with the tasks. So, my work is something that I need to do every day. So that's why I have the daily planner queue that comes from the notes that I take, because this is a way for me to keep track of my running list of things to do and then track each of those lists of things to do and then prioritize them and get them in front of either me or a resource. And then it kind of goes downstream here. The stream being the processes related to roles that cares about the tasks that I'm assigning in hopes that I can condense this list down, use the tag system to then get it to the correct role, and then kind of, again, watch it as it makes its way through the process. Because now this board is something that I can just say and do every day. Um, this is something that I can keep track of every day that I know my job isn't done for the morning time when I'm getting organized if all of this hasn't been done. My getting organized and the time that's dedicated to getting organized, this is here. This is, okay, the first thing I want to do at 6 a.m. is work out for an hour and then get organized. And the reason why I haven't put anything else here yet It's because I haven't actually gone through and prioritized what's going to be important. So as I begin to make my way down, you know, this is getting paid. I mean, we all want to get paid, so getting paid naturally is something we're going to be thinking about, and probably should be top of mind. But desire it needs to be outside of your work process because getting paid is something different than doing work. You can do all the work, and it can appear here, but keeping top of mind who has your money is something you should keep separate from your work so that way it's not something that gets lost in translation here and isn't easily trackable and manageable. So let's go down to getting paid because now, okay, this is where my money is. This is the process. This is the timeline if you're going to track the time. This is how much, and this is the payment status. Writing proposal, quote sent, deposit, money in bank. And I'm keeping track of my KPI by determining how many of these WordPress consultings am I selling? How much IT services am I selling? How much Discover sessions am I selling? I mean, you don't necessarily need to even think about selling more so than also thinking about how much of these am I converting? How many people am I getting signing up for this service? And determining, okay, this is the top lead magnet. So how do I monetize that lead magnet, right? Because if it's the stuff that people, if your indicator is this is what's in demand, then monetize what's in demand. Don't try to create a value proposition based off of what you think is valuable. Create a value proposition off of what's valuable. Investment hunt, competitor analysis, and so on and so forth. So just to try and show you how like this system works at the intermediate level two of a mile long list. Like I should change this to my work from my work to the mile long list because as entrepreneurs and as decision makers, this is literally all of the scope of a day for us to keep track of each individual operating arm that's important for business function and progress. And the new methodology that I've been really working on or practicing of late has been creating the processes behind each of these different things that I'm pointing out needs to have a process in order for it to be successful. Now I've been grouping them together based on complexity and interfacing with different roles. So that way I know for today's priority, the different people that could potentially be impacted by this priority is marketing and sales. So I'm trying to determine what the value of the work is so I can start ranking the priorities and tracking the real impact to the business down to a point where I can say, if I get these many tasks done that's related to these category groups, it will drive the business in this direction positively or inversely. If I don't do it, how's it going to impact negatively? So then I basically go down my list here and I continue to prioritize and I continue to dump these tasks into these categories. And then what these tasks turn into is what you're paying your people to do. So, if you go down to project management here and you go to project planning, customers, well, let's just say here SOW for these different, projects, the impact and what stages they're in, when are the deadlines, and what's next. Well, when I have a meeting with my project manager, I need to I need to discuss and prioritize all of these tasks. So next time I meet with them, I go, okay, here's the mile long list that we need to talk about. We need to excuse me. We need to prioritize these, and let's start getting the work done. So naturally, I'm giving value to my stand-ups by keeping track of everything that comes into my mind. That this is something potentially that's going to be necessary and beneficial for the future. Then I basically prioritize all of those thoughts into a priority queue, and then I work with my VA to label these guys. assign them some dates and some deadlines and some tags, so that way I know who I need to meet with, and potentially this will start going into an agenda. As you can see over here in my Google Keep, I have a template for agenda because I like to run my meetings smart. The only way I'm going to run my meetings smart is to really figure out how to work best with each of my teammates or resources in the way that they like to work. So you actually need to get to know your people to understand how to work with them in a way that's optimal, because that's going to make future value for the next role, for the next hire. You document and keep track of all of this useful business intelligence so that way you can scale. So that way you're compounding the interest of everything you're doing when it comes to interacting with your team, managing your tasks, and effectively just getting all of the work done. Because here's an observation that I had more recently, as it's even a task here that I put, and I took a note, and inside this note, it's a very long note, but it was just an observation from working with my current team. Um, Internal process workflows impact analysis. So let me see if I can actually just run a search and see if I can run a search for um, what is it called? An intranet? Did I call it an intranet? Yep. Create intranet for better customer and team. Whoa. Okay, so it didn't take the whole note. So let's go back over to the here, because this is just also an easy way to reference this, you know. And we could backtrack, or you could just kind of go over here and then come down to your Google task, your Google apps here, and if you don't see tasks here, that's fine. Because what you can then do is come over here. And I know there's another faster way to do it, but I'm not exactly sure how that's achieved right now. But the easiest way to get to the tasks by itself in the standalone client is just run the search. And if you're already using it and you're logged in, it takes you to this right here. And I guess for future value, you can keep it bookmarked. But then you could just come back and then, maybe just here, just do a command find and put intranet. And there it is. Create intranet for better customer and team success. This will buy back tremendous amounts of working time to stay focused on running the business. Bada bing, bada bam, bada boo. So I took a note because I had an idea based on an observation. And you constantly have to be thinking as an experiment, how am I going to observe and add future value? I took that note and I wrote it down because it was a thought that I had that's going to be useful. I mean, I'm asking myself this question because, again, it's going to be useful in the future. I prioritize it, I get it on a board, and then I rank it and I do it. And then it gets done. So therefore, you're creating value of, you're constantly scaling and growing the business and innovating the business as you work every day by keeping track of the mile long list, but just keeping it organized and then continuing to focus on distributing it. So like right now we have some focus points right now, right? We've got our daily queue, our daily planner queue, we've got our today's priorities, and the mile long list for the team tasks and potential, opportunities to have stand-ups, right? So the stand-ups are important because you're now working with your resources. If you're not working with your resources and maintaining communication that works with those resources every day, you are losing valuable man time. If you have contributors to a project, if you have resources to a project, if you are not constantly and daily assigning tasks and asking questions and tracking what's going on through the use of a project manager, or yourself. I mean, you're going to waste time tracking it and doing all the work yourself when now you've just made usefulness for a project manager in a way to be able to say, this is the value associated to the business and a growth opportunity. Because I know every day I am constantly getting these tasks out here, which then we're going to meet, discuss, prioritize, and plan out. So now I have a way to really scale my money, scale out the position, and manage the money that I'm paying for this position and growing the company at the same time. It's just like literally And an innovative scaffolding that grows as you grow, and paying attention to that growth is how you're going to scale your business automatically as you continue to scale yourself. Now I can go back to my planner and make more adjustments. If I spend time on this board talking about what I'm grateful for, then I put a tag on it that's mental concentration, because I want to focus on being grateful for the resources that have been shown into me. In other words, for the people who've given me money to do projects for them. I then also want to be grateful that my plans are supported and they're happening right now. So all the plans that I mastermind and put up together, they're actually now coming back. They're coming back in so many different ways that it's really useful now. And then, let's talk about. I was actually happy to take a break this weekend and hang out with my son. And I put a whole bunch of commentary up there so people could see, I was spending time with my son and I was having a good time. Maybe some people will think that this is cool. This guy's doing all this stuff, but at the same time, making time to be, a good dad. And then for end of day review, create onboarding, how I will improve. That's what I focused on today. Create better onboarding process is something that I always want to consider, which is why I said I want to build an intranet, which is why I watched Christine Hawkins' webinar on building an intranet using Airtables and using WordPress, which just completely added value to me buying back more future time and also managing and running my team and projects much more to a scale that, again, it just the future time is valuable. You're getting into the position that you're now running an organization as an individual through the scaling of resources that you can really say investing this much money into this resource is going to benefit my business in the future this way. So your return on investment becomes much more sound, trackable, and understandable. And then I come down to my KPI metrics. And the reason why you don't see anything here is because I made a business decision. I said, listen, let's go here. Fine. Let's look at KPI. Okay. KPI and metrics into its own board. Board should keep track of sales, calls, incoming and outgoing for the day, how many leads are in the funnel, and at what stage. Create watcher mechanism that will track time through process, stage, and some form of investigation, supporting information as to why the lead is perceived to be there and not at the next stage of the phase. So basically, what I'm saying is that this board is no longer useful. Excuse me, that this information, this KPI and metrics information, is no longer useful in its current state and therefore should be moved to its own board so I can be scaled out and individually tracked and managed and shaped to be much more useful to me in my everyday process. So that way I'm not devaluing this function by grouping it together as a post title. And then I go down to my current projects here, and again, website organization. These are all the different projects that I'm working on right now: marketing strategy and intelligence, podcast support, educational webinars and platforms, organizing and scaling third level business intelligence, meetup objective observation and plan, Facebook observations observation and plan, Instagram objectives, observation, and plan. Twitter objectives, observation, and plan. Because you need to determine what your objectives are when you are putting your time into a platform. Everybody's just putting this time into a platform to create the page, put information on the page, but you're just building a business card that says this is who I am and this is what I do. But people don't understand why they should care about that information. And if you're not catering your platform to target why and match that why, you're wasting time and you're not using it to an effectiveness. And then I said productization of business frameworks, free tier into paid tier, because I've determined now that people are definitely signaling this is something they're willing to pay for. So now I need to figure out the next tier of this free tier into a paid tier. And at the same time, I'm also creating the necessary frameworks and structures to turn the free tier business frameworks service, which is coaching and a lot of giveaways, free stuff, lead magnets, into a paid for framework that I've already done the legwork of developing all of the necessary human factor parts, and now I can start scaling it using business intelligence. And then I'm going to scale it again using AI and machine learning tactics that are going to continue to automate the businesses. So I hope this really helps you see the gap here, understand a little bit more behind the grand architect genius, and for you to also see how I'm basically going to scale myself out of Monday because Monday is not actually doing a good job with customer success right now. And I love the platform. I spend a lot of time building on this platform, but the overall customer success, that they focus on or try to focus on is terrible. And I don't want to say that without providing some feedback. So I kind of grew to love Monday because they advertise so much. Like, I mean, if you're any kind of consulting shop or agency shop or any kind of shop, period, Monday could be useful. But it's only seemingly like Monday is very supportive of their usefulness at certain levels of the business. So when you start getting to business level two, that's when you're going to start realizing Monday might not be for you. And the reason why is because a lot of this business intermediate level technology that I've been implementing and scaling and using hasn't been supported by Monday. So once I said, oh my goodness, this is something that I could potentially use, and I want to give away a ton of free value to my audience in the shapes of, downloading these boards because you can download these boards and then implement them back in and it will build them out. So everything that you see here that I've built, I can download and give you as a spreadsheet, and then you can upload it to Monday and potentially have these same boards. But the problem is when I've reached out to Monday about their partnership program that they continue to say is this awesome thing, I find more and more that either A, Monday doesn't actually have a partner program, or B, they don't have a good process for onboarding. And I've sent countless emails. I have communications where I just have not been successfully supported as a customer, and I'm almost like I'm literally almost at the phase of the business automation part, business intelligence and modeling for machine learning, that I say to myself, is Monday the platform that I actually want to build this behind? Or is it possible for me to replicate what Monday has put together as a project management tool when it's really not a project management tool? I really view Monday as a way for me to take my brain and everything that I do and replicate it in a digital sense so I can literally start organizing the way I'm thinking about running my business and then scaling it out using different platforms. So I guess like I kind of envision, Monday was like a way for me to get all of my thoughts out of my head and into a hackable system that I can basically replicate the way I think about running my business, the important ways to track and improve, organizing and scaling my business, and then ultimately get into the platform where I'm now running the business. And this is it's nothing against Monday, but I've just determined the usefulness of the product lifecycle to my business. And therefore, I've created so much value behind it to help my target audience because I now realize this is what helped me wasn't supported by the company. And if you're going to actually make a claim that you have a partnership program, then I would suggest you stand behind it because there's people like me out here who want to use your platform and can create all this useful material that you don't have and or do not use and teach people how to be successful using the platform for free. Like again, I really do believe teamwork makes the dream work, and our company mission statement is we shift mindsets using systems, but what are you doing.com? And that means literally we help you shift your mind, putting your mind into a system, and then see what you are doing.com, and then helping you improve it, which is kind of like the whole reason why my company is called I Know Development Solutions. It's a simple play on words and about logic, really. I know the development solutions to get you from your current self to the ideal self because of systems We shift your mindset with using systems because we take your mind and put it into a system and then go through and organize that system or teach you how to organize that system, scale that system, and then automate that system so that it's just nature. Success is a behavioral pattern. It's not necessarily something that's a secret. It's all about what you're willing to do and how you're willing to behave to see some future success at some point. Um, I hope this was like somewhat like a useful product overview and also somewhat of like a demonstration of the power that I'm building here with Monday and what I'm ultimately offering inside of my business frameworks coaching program. And then ultimately also to show you that this is the power behind it. And if you see the value, please reach out. Please, provide some feedback and information, and let's do the work. Let's grow together. This is Wilbur Bean III, the Grand Architect, signing off. My first product demonstration. Literally, I'm doing work, and as I'm working, I realized the added value based on a lot of feedback from my current clients or potential qualified leads is I don't understand how it works or the particulars. So I'm hoping that me taking the time out to make this demonstration video shows you that I'm teaching you something that I myself do every day and that helped me scale and grow my business. And then this is basically what I plan to teach you.com. Grand Architect, have a good night. Signing off.